Hello everyone, and welcome to the Corsair booth at Computex 2025. I'm joined by the wonderful Hans from Corsair, and he's going to walk us through some of the new chassis that we had on offer. And spoiler alert, I've already seen them, but the lovely people at home haven't. So what's new and why should they care?
So new here is definitely the Air 5400, which I think is the most exciting chassis.
It looks very, very different. I mean, we were talking about this yesterday at the Fantex booth because they've got like a case with some crazy text on it, that making a case different when it is essentially a box is tricky, right?
It's hard these days because it's pretty much all the same. Like you put components in it and then like you put fans and it cools the case.
Yeah.
So it's very hard to innovate on that. And you all know dual chamber cases, where we take all the hardware into one chamber and the power supply and all the cable mess in the other chamber.
Yes. You've gone one above that. You've gone for a triple
Exactly.
chamber
We
case.
always need to add one number. But the idea here is that this being a triple chamber case, we want to isolate
Whoa. How is this a triple chamber case?
Let's
walk
show.
us through it. So we've got curved glass kind of on this back piece. Then we've got a join here, but it kind of looks like the whole thing is curved. And then we come around the side, don't we? And then we've got this gap. So this is the third chamber, if you like, right? What's the point of that?
So, especially with graphic card these days, you know, like a 59 will pull 600 watts. All that heat is going to get dumped into your main chamber.
Into the main chamber. So you're going to have your graphics cards here. We've got some ducting that we'll talk about in just a second. So the air gets pulled in and out through the top. But then the thing that's different is here, as I say, you've got this little gap, you've got more ducting, and then you put your all-in-one here.
Yes, exactly.
That's why it's different. What difference does that make in terms of performance? Does it make it easier to build? Why?
That's multiple things. Like it makes it easier to build because you have more room to build in it. But the real story here is the performance, because with a normal case, you have to either pick, do I want to have my AIO blow air in and then feed the GPU with hot air? Or do I want to have my AIO blow out and then have my GPU feed the AIO with hot air?
Yes, which would make one component run hotter and then louder. So if you want both to be really quiet,
then you need to split them up.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's what we're doing here, where the AIO goes into the front and all the tubes, of course, goes to the motherboard here. But the AIO forces all the warm air from that AIO out the side. So the graphic card gets fed via this duct down here with just pure fresh air. And also up here, like it uses just the rails, and it's super easy to just get radiators or more fans in if you want to, do some more cable management. But all the air for that GPU will get forced in through the bottom and then up through the top.
And do you get fans as standard with this, or do you have to add your own?
So we haven't finalized all the different SKUs and stuff yet, but there will likely be a version that comes pre-installed with fans and with more fans, more advanced fans. It depends on the lineup. Okay. So this is still an early prototype example that we have. Okay. So, but it is something that we are looking into.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's have a look round into the third and final bit, shall we? Which I suppose would be the second chamber.
Yes.
So this opens up. I like the fact that actually it's quite different around here as well. So you have this gap, but you've not got to worry about dust. There's a dust filter that will come on the final version. And then obviously, because this is going to be exhausting air, you're not going to have to particularly worry about huge amounts of dust build-up. But then you have this door that opens. The only compromise I see with the design here is that you have to have these little plastic bits, but that's just to do with like the tooling, so it's not just like completely bare bones. So definitely not really a concern. But then this is like the traditional bit where you put your power supply and any cables and things like that inside, right? And then actually one of the other things that I've noticed as well that you've done differently is you've got kind of like this, is it nylon, this kind of brush?
Yes, a brush mesh. We were all thinking that, like, why do we always use the traditional rubber grommets?
Yeah, because they always come out. You get that big ATX cable and you push it through and then the whole thing comes out and then it takes you 10 minutes to get that back in and you end up doing a lot of swearing.
We did improve that with our double shot grommets, where we have two different types of plastic for it, like a soft plastic in the middle and a hard plastic on the outside. That improved it a lot. But for this one, we want to try to do things differently. So again, maybe this will work, maybe it won't work, but it's one of those things that we're just experimenting with.
And then I guess the last thing with this is the ducting.
Yes.
What and why?
So these ducts here works as a way of forcing air into the GPU. Because if we didn't have that duct, air would just be kind of spread out. But as it works now, it kind of helps all the GPUs with triple fans to just get more air in.
So essentially you're getting more performance from the same fans at the same fan speed because the air is channeled into the
Yes.
right place and not circulating in bits
Like
that it doesn't need to.
kind of like a jet stream down there.
Yes.
So, and if you don't want it, if you want to mount radiators in here, if you want to do a custom lube in this, you can just take these out.
And then we also have this one, which is arguably a little bit more of a mainstream chassis. This, I'll be honest, I think we all saw coming. This is the 5000D frame or 5000 frame D?
Frame 5000.
That's the one.
So this is the bigger brother to the Frame 4000.
Yes.
For the Frame 4000 is one of my favorite cases, if not the favorite case at the moment, because it fits everything. Like I have a massive system in that. This case here is for the people at home that wants to do either a 420mm radiator,
Okay.
or just
so that'd be at the top here, right?
either at the top, but we actually also were able to fit it in the front and the side as well.
If the Frame 4000D was made larger,
Yes.
are you expecting people to upgrade to this if they only want a bigger system, or are there other features on this that you wouldn't get on the Frame 4000D?
Glad that you ask. So for this one here, there is also a new tray for the motherboard for Rapid Route 2.0. So if you want to really dive in and do some epic cable management, you can do it in this case as well. I like to have cases that are easier to build with.
Yes.
Which is also why this little nook here is there. And like, I don't think a lot of people have understood that yet, but this here is actually to be easier to get into your EPS cables.
Yes.
Because I think that we've all made the mistake once.
You put your radiator in and then you just can't get in there.
Exactly.
And you have to keep taking it out.
It's just the worst. And
Yes.
you have to go in there and you get like pain in your fingers and everything. That there just makes it easy.
Something else that I do want to ask you though actually is whether anything has changed from the 4000 to the 5000. So a couple of the complaints, if you like, a couple of niggling points that I had with the 4000 frame was, like, for example, this bit was a little bit rattly, and I noticed that this is actually better. Is it just because it's bigger? Is this because it's thicker? And then also the top piece was a little, I don't quite want to say flimsy, but it wasn't that far off being a little bit flimsy on the 4000. And then like the side panel and things, again, it was perhaps a little bit thinner. And I notice it's thicker on this case. Is this something that you're going to be carrying across to the 4000 as well?
Yeah, we constantly read all the reviews and see what people comment about. And when stuff is a common complaint like that, we go in and see, is it something that we want to update, do a tooling
So it
changes
was something you were aware of then?
Yeah, we do, like obviously we watch all of you guys' videos and we take all of that feedback serious. So if something like that is a common problem, we will go in and see, like, is it something that we can go in and change, doing a rolling change, it's something we can offer as accessories.
You're not going to wait for like a new model, this is something that will be coming?
Yes.
Okay.
So for example, the Frame 4000 Elite that we're going to be launching, we want that to be an Elite version. And if
So this is the prototype that you've got out there, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So when we make changes to something like that and it fits on the original case, like there is no downside for us to like make the original case better as well. Okay. And then we can take that feedback.
I see,
and
because obviously making a case, it's all about scale. If you make a change, in order for that to be worth it, you've got to make a lot of units, right?
Yeah.
So you're saying that because you're bringing out eventually this Elite version with new tooling, you can use that on the older case as an update. Am I understanding that right? Okay.
Yes.
I see.
So, and it doesn't like, and that's something that we can run into the older case without like changing the prices.
And what are some of the features that people are seeing right now in all of this lovely B-roll? I mean, this is obviously a prototype, so not everything is necessarily going to make it to the final revision. Is there anything you're particularly excited about here? I mean, there's like a power supply that's transparent as well. It's all a bit crazy.
So the power supply won't come with the case, but the stuff that we're doing for that Elite case is like new front panels that are a bit more fancy than our stamped out ones.
Yeah, so is that front panel something you have to buy separately, or is that something you're looking to have on the Elite as a SKU?
That will come on the Elite as the SKU. We're also looking into various motherboard trays about how we can make the building experience just a little bit nicer, but it's about the feeling of the entire case. Like we want to make it a case for the people that love the form factor of the Frame 4000, but want something that is a little nicer.
Can you say anything about price and availability on the 5000, by the way? I mean, different SKUs, fans, no fans, price?
Yes. The 5000 will be around $200 depending on the model with fans. We've been like looking at what people really want to have, if they want to have a fanless model, and like lots of people just want a case that's set up really well from the factory. Yeah. So like these will come with fans pre-installed. and various levels of the fans. We know that not everybody wants to like buy into the Link ecosystem of fans, but they want something they can put into the motherboards. So for example, these ones here are the RS fans, the daisy chains, and you just put those into your motherboard and the RGB connector into your motherboard.
How many of those do you get on this as standard?
That's something that we are still working out. This here comes with 4 140s, I believe. But like we are like testing what the best setups are.
Because obviously that will impact the price and things as well.
Exactly.
And you're also doing reverse blade RSs as an option, right?
Yes.
So probably not as part of the case, but if you say wanted to put some here, you're now doing reverse blade RS, so you can see the RGB, but then it's more affordable than other fans as well. So kind of just giving people extra options, right?
Exactly.
And there was also one other case as well, which I'm gutted isn't in here, but again, we've got loads of lovely B-roll. This is the 4500X.
Yes.
So is it bigger than the 4000 or is it just like a special version?
So that's a really cool thing about the 4500X, is that it's built on the same base chassis as the 4000. So you can take the PSU cover from the 4500X, you can put that into the 4000, because all these cases...
It's new and it's like got this little curve on it. It looks really nice. How hard is it to actually make? Because I always hear people say, oh, it's really difficult, adds a load of expense. But then you've got companies like Montech that will be able to do it really cheaply, but maybe it's not like such a well done curve. And then you've got other companies like Haven that say, oh, this is the best, but it's obviously very expensive. How do you do curved glass, and how does it vary in terms of quality and price and everything, right?
It's as with many things, like who do you get it from? What do you want to pay for it? Like how fast do you need it? And we really want a nice curve where there's no like light bending on the inside.
Yeah, so is this the same curve that you have on the 4500? So obviously this one is on the back, but I've got to say actually you can't really see any warping with this. You've not kind of got that like heat shrink effect on this. I assume you went through a lot of different prototypes, spoke to like a lot of different factories and spent a lot of time really trying to get the perfect curved glass.
Our first venture into curved glass was when we originally did the 1000D. We wanted to have the front panel curved, and we had to get away from it because manufacturers of tempered glass typically don't get the request that, hey, can you bend this for us? And that's just something that they've seen over the last couple of years. So as stuff gets more requested, they get better at it. It gets easier for us to get, and we can do it at a more affordable price range.
All right, and do you have any information on pricing on that one?
About $160.
Which is not too bad actually for curved glass. So that is pretty much right bang in the middle of something like your Montech and, as I say, your Haven. So, all right, not too bad. And you also have a couple other things as well to show us. I will grab them. Some new power supplies, which not everyone always finds the most fascinating thing in the world, but a couple of changes, right? So we've now got a 12-volt high power connection native. Why? Because on the older versions, it was just kind of off of your, was it the Type 4 connections?
It was off the regular 8 pins.
Why does that matter?
It's the exact same output.
Yeah.
But 12 volt 2x6 or 12 volt high power has become like a standard thing that people are browsing from. So we found that like even though it's physically the same, people will want to have a power supply that have the native plug.
Okay.
So we added it in there.
Is that also like a confidence thing as well as being able to, I know you obviously don't ever officially recommend people use third-party cables, but people are always going to do that. Yeah. So assuming they were of high enough quality, it's easier obviously to do that as well. Does this mean we get new custom cable kits from Corsair either now or in the future, I suppose, if you now have a different plug?
So the new cables that come with these are embossed.
Oh, I saw that. Yes, that looks really, really good. So the illusion, if you like, is that it's like custom braided.
Exactly.
But much cheaper to produce, and ultimately it's only a visual thing anyway.
It is.
So if it looks better out of the box and costs less money, that's really, really good.
And the thing that I like about the embossed cables, because I've been doing like custom sleeving for like a decade.
Yeah.
But custom sleeve cables are always incredibly stiff unless you use paracord. And when you use paracord, like it flops around anyways. These ones here, if you look at some of the cable management that we did in those builds, they're so easy to route around because even the bundle from the 24 pin is not going to be massive. Like it's going to be a little bundle that you can zip tie all the way down, and it just makes for a much cleaner cable management solution.
And you've got a fan control on here.
Yes.
Why?
So with these power supplies here, we actually got a lot of questions from people that were super nervous because they bought their new power supply. Yeah. We implement 0 RPM mode on most of our power supplies.
So they turn it up and the fan doesn't spin?
Exactly, and it actually doesn't spin until I think it's 40% load.
Right.
So if you have a 1000 watt power supply, like everything up until 400 watt, the fan won't do anything. And people were going to be sitting playing games and they'd be nervous because my power supply is not turning on. Is it defective? And like, we can go out and say, yes, it's not defective, don't worry about it. But some people still like the ability to go, you know what?
See that it works.
Yeah, I'd like to have my fan just running all the time. So they will turn this up. So it'll move the fan curve from 0 RPM and just make it more and more aggressive.
I see, so it's not like full manual control where if you put it at 500 RPM and then it needs to be 1000 while it's stuck at 500
Oh no,
RPM.
that would be very bad.
It's just adjusting the curve.
Yes.
And this is also, I suppose, going to be useful if you have like a small ITX case and you actively want to use it as an airflow fan.
Yes.
As well. So that's quite useful. And I believe we also have an HX power supply as well. Now this is also a Shift. So it's clearly a big focus for you, but I can guarantee there'll be plenty of people watching, and I guess myself as well, that is thinking, well, surely this now means it's not going to be compatible with every case. I mean, I assume it's compatible with every Corsair case, but what if you want to buy one of these and use it with a different brand of case?
So for all the Shift ones, we use the microfit cables. So the microfit cables are smaller than your typical connectors.
Yeah.
And also because of the 12 volt 2x6, we made that with a 90-degree adapter. So if we open this up here, so the 12 volt 2x6, they don't go directly out. So we have a 90-degree cable.
Oh, see, so that was going to be one of my questions, because surely you don't want to bend the connection.
Exactly. So
but you don't, because it's a right angle.
You have it like that.
Connection, I see.
And with all the other ones, like this is a regular, or where you have it. Up here is a regular, like a PCI 6+2, and this here is a microfit. So that means that if you even see like this here, that we don't need as much room because we can bend it all the way like this.
I see.
So you don't need a ton of room when you put this power supply into your case.
So even if you've not got masses of room,
yes,
in theory you shouldn't have to bend the cables, because obviously no one should ever bend cables like to the point where it's going to damage them. But you've thought about that clearly with the Shift.
So we recommend like about 30 millimeters or more, but you could do with less because these doesn't take up a lot of room.
Yeah.
And what I really like about this
I was
power
going to
supply,
say, you've also integrated a Corsair Link hub baked into the power supply as well, so that's one less thing to buy. Do you know what TAC stands for? Because I know that this is to plug in the CPU header to the motherboard so that it doesn't freak out that you don't have any fans, and you can obviously use the pass-through for the RPMs. But what does TAC mean? That's a little bit confusing.
that is the TAC signal,
Okay.
so the actual RPM signal.
So that is the official, that is actually the name?
I'm pretty sure.
Okay, because people will get confused by that. Be like, what's TAC? I don't know. And then I know we're short on time, so the last thing is you've also got some new keyboards. Again, lovely B-roll being shown right now. Custom DIY that you can have pre-assembled if you want. Why are Corsair getting into that?
We are enthusiasts and we want to... Like,
Oh, you've got some here.
Yeah.
You're looking at them.
Exactly.
Can I touch them? Yes, okay.
So we like to use our own components and our own parts, and we like them to be as good as possible. So for the keyboards, it's something that we've been trying to make better and better every single year. And like, we know people want like better keyboards. We see it at events, as for example Gamescom. Everybody will come up, they will go like listen to the keyboard, listen to the click and the sound of it. So like, it just makes sense for us to continue to improve on the product lines.
And it's modular, but you can also add things like a wireless module.
Yes.
Which is something a lot of custom keyboards you can't necessarily do. You can swap this out like you've got there for the LED.
Yep.
And you can use it with or without the IQ software as well.
And also with these, there's a new feature where if you want to just update the firmware, if you want to change some settings on the lighting, like we have a web interface.
Yes.
So if you're bringing this around, you don't need to necessarily install a bunch of programs to get all of your changes to the keyboard. Same thing with the mouse. You can just go like onto the website, and it will register the keyboard through the website.
Premium wise, I think this is available for just under $300 starting for a full keyboard, but obviously you can get more expensive as you go for different types of caps, designs, add modules and things in. So it'd be interesting to see how it does, but yes, thank you very much for walking us through everything.
You're very welcome.
Let us know your thoughts down in the comment section below. What do you make of like the ducting? Do you think this is an interesting approach? What do you make of curved glass? any revisions and things. I mean, they're still prototyping, there's still time potentially for some changes on some of the cases, but for the ones that are coming very soon, am I right thinking it's maybe like Q4 sort of time for a lot of them?
Yes, so most of these cases will land around Q4 time.
Yeah,
So
okay.
we are very excited for that.
Brilliant. All right, well, thank you very much. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.